Hello and welcome to a very special video. So, the other night I was watching a video from Inquisitor Valen, and it was talking about the Primaris not existing in the future, aka because there's not going to be the need for the marketing device, so it's going to get ditched. Sorry if that was the thing that actually made you care about them. And I was pondering a couple things from some of the recent releases, be it the Space Wolf revision or the definitely desperately needed Ultramarine one. And the thing that came to my mind had been, it seems that Games Workshop is now moving towards a design perspective that goes along the lines of the more it doesn't look like a Primaris, the better. The more it moves away from aesthetics of the Primaris, the better. And I think it comes down to a really basic thing that if you asked me a few years ago, I would have told you, and most people who like Primaris wouldn't have listened to me. So hopefully you'll give me a moment of your time, most precious thing you have, and I'll try to be respectful of it. So, let me put it in this regard. The Primaris was a marketing stunt. It was about creating an artificial divide with a new version of Space Marines to try to force people into feeling like they had to purchase it, aka using a pressure tactic. So they had better rules, they had bigger models, they were just bigger and better in every single way. They were ridiculous in a lot of regards, and effectively unhinged in terms of how they just kind of threw the game on its head. And this was a marketing ploy to get people to buy onto it, as opposed to just revamping the units and scaling them up. AKA, look at Horus Heresy, they could have just done that. But the thing was, it was about trying to force you to feel like you needed to upgrade, to keep up. That you didn't want to be the guy with the midget squad, did you? You don't want to be the guy with the short kings. Come on, even though the short kings chapter would be magnificent. The point being is that Primaris from the beginning was a marketing stunt. It was GW having no faith in the fact that people would literally have bought a revamping of the old Marines and trying to force this underhanded way of getting you to rebuy your army. Now, with that said, there are a number of Primaris units that I think will, as soon as the Firstborn are gone, will follow them very shortly, within a few editions. And blah, blah, blah. So why do I say this? Well, at the end of the day, as the aesthetics continue to shift back towards the older, I don't think Primaris are going to vanish. I don't think a lot of the things that they have brought in are going to vanish. What I think you're going to see is they're going to be pretty much smushed together with the older style things, and you will see Games Workshop slowly move back towards the old style of how Space Marines worked, how they operated, what units they had. And it will be a very slow process. They'll start by, well, of course, look, they brought back the Terminators, upscaled, and Primaris scale, if you prefer to call it that. They've done it with the Scouts. They'll eventually do it with Devastators and Tactical Squads. Why would they do this? Well, it's really freaking simple. The amount of molds, the amount of manufacturing space, the amount of storage space, the amount of shelf space that's being dedicated to a bunch of redundant units within the Primaris line that were designed primarily not because of a battlefield purpose, but more to milk money out of your wallet, take up a lot of space, they take up a lot of storage, they cost a lot of money to effectively manage. So eventually what I think you will see is you will see the Primaris line slowly adopt a lot of the old units that the prior version of Marines had, and a lot of the superfluous units will slowly meet in the butterfly farm down the road. You'll never see the dog again, but trust me, they're fine. They're living right over there. The Primaris players can get the firstborn treatment. And you know what I mean by that. But the thing is, I believe that will be the end game just because of management requirements and also oversaturation. But what will happen first is very, very simple. And I know I'm kind of rambling on. I'll try to wrap it up. What will happen first is a complete removal and ignoring of the Primaris concept. They will simply become Space Marines. They will be referred to as Marines. There will be some callbacks to things, but no one is going to be like, there is Primaris Marine X. It will just be, and there's the Astartes. They will continuously move towards wiping away a lot of these things, and they'll do it incrementally. They know how to do it. It's like changing the color of a web page. You do it one step every day for a while until you get to whatever color you want, and people will get used to it and not pay attention to it. So, effectively, the Primaris will meet their end in silence. They will meet their end in inches, and effectively they will become Space Marines. You can make every argument under the sun that if you care about them being Primaris, they're all Primaris, but most people will have chucked that stupid little marketing concept over their shoulders, and they will gladly re-embrace the newer versions of old classic units, especially when they're festooned with all kinds of different old marks and they're in these glorious new proportions or whatever. Inquisitor Valen is right on the surface there. He's right in that the distinction doesn't mean anything at this point because he's talking from a lore perspective. But the distinction never mattered in lore anyways. It was justification. It was a marketing ploy to try to add something in that didn't need to be in. And will die in silence. Deep, abiding, slow, grinding silence. And that is the thing. There will be a number of units that will remain from the Primaris unit line. Most of the things will be using Primaris equivalents, but it will move towards that just because, let's be honest. Be honest with yourself, even if you are a big Primaris fan. Just count the number of line units, the amount of redundant units that don't need to exist, and go, hey, wouldn't it just be better if a new player walked in and they said, hey, what are things I should get? And you just go, buy a tactical squad. Oh, get yourself a Devastator squad. Get a Dreadnought. They've even brought back the old loadout of the Dreadnought for the newer pregnant Dreadnought. The road to where they are going is so clear, it's blinding. And unfortunately also probably insanely expensive. But while I agree that the Primaris will no longer exist, I disagree in that it was a natural intended thing. The entire Gathering Storm was a moronic concept. It was fan fiction given life for no reason other than to cover the marketing team's greed. That's about it. He's got a good channel. Check his stuff out. If you agree, let me know what you think. You disagree, let me know what you think. I guess subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.